What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video I want to talk about Cuphead 2, if we're going to get the game, when we could get the game. This is all obviously coming off of Cuphead releasing on PS4, finally the last platform, right? Already on the Nintendo Switch, already obviously on Xbox, where it came out 3 years ago. And so we're going to be talking about the potential, basically, for a future game. Now, really quickly, before I jump into that, I just want to promote my Twitter handle really fast. Podcast Now 15 is the Twitter handle. Again, a link for that will actually be in the description below as well. Tweet pretty often there, a fun way of engaging with people that sometimes I can't always do on YouTube, as well as I give you guys sneak peeks at what's to come on the channel. So if you guys have not yet followed me, please consider it. Now, Cuphead, again, this game is amazing. Okay, this is an amazing game. I actually bought this game way back in the day. I'm not a PC player. I'm not a PC gamer, although I respect it. And at the time, I did not have an Xbox One. And when Cuphead came out, I actually bought this game on my computer, tried to play it. I mean, this game, obviously, we all know how difficult, but how utterly amazing basically this game is. But let's talk about a sequel. So I've seen people sometimes bring up a sequel, and I wanted to throw my hat in the ring here. I do think it's very, very likely it happens. Now, the studio that makes Cuphead, okay, they are not a big studio, obviously, formed from the two brothers, but they've expanded and they've grown. Not necessarily a sizable team. Not when you hear like Naughty Dog had like 2,000 people working on their game. We've heard like Red Dead Redemption 2 have like 8,000 people working on that game. So, I mean, when you get AAA games, when you get really big games, there are hundreds, if not thousands, if not, even for some games, up there even close to 10,000 plus people. So these games obviously can require a lot of manpower, okay? This game, this studio, obviously very, very small. It's a very, very small team. Now, I believe Cuphead was announced around 6 years ago, so it took it, upon it coming out, it took it 3 years to actually release. It came out. There's obviously been DLC. It came out on the Nintendo Switch, came out on on Macintosh actually, and came out now on PS4. So again, all consoles, all devices, all systems, unless it comes to like mobile or something, are mainly covered. Okay, this game is mainly covered. And again, this game has sold outstandingly. And I make these points, by the way, because this kind of adds on to, well, why the heck wouldn't you make a second game? You know what I mean? I mean, that's generally what I try and get to when I'm talking about all this stuff. The game, I believe the official numbers are it sold over 6 million units. Now, again, that's without PlayStation. PlayStation has, 110 million people that have it now. Is it going to sell that much? Absolutely not. But could this game reach 10 plus million units? I think eventually it could. This game has sold so well, not even just when it first came out, but years later. And again, obviously coming on different platforms to different audiences, that's going to help it. But I feel like this game easily can reach 10 plus million units. I really do think that. I think a lot of PS4 owners have been waiting. I mean, I own this game on PC. I bought it. I bought it day one. I bought it yesterday as soon as they announced it. It wasn't a question. There was no hesitation. I think that's the power of a game like this. And then you think of the actual game, okay? This game, there are games like it, but what this game does in terms of the art design, right? I mean, the art is absolutely incredible. And then the difficulty. I mean, again, a game like this, it's been tried and different parts of it have been done before, but putting into this package, I mean, it's honestly, again, it's outstanding. So you ask the question, okay, can you make a second game? Well, again, depends on, and I do think, by the way, so my answer is I do think a second Cuphead will eventually come out. I do think they've been working on it, but what you have to remember, again, is it takes a long time. The studio, I think if you go on their website, it's probably like 20 people strong. That's probably it. I don't think there's many more than that. So this is not like it's an enormous studio. They're working from home. In fact, on their website even says that they're working remotely, and they're also, and I assume just because of what's happened around the world, and things get slowed down. Things are absolutely getting slowed down. So you also have the DLC, which did take actually quite a while, right? The DLCs took longer than they had expected. So these things take time. These things take years, and with a team this small, it does take a very long time. An example, and this is it's not the greatest example in the world, but it's one that I do think kind of fits, is Super Meat Boy Forever. If you guys remember that game was announced years ago. Very, very small team. That game has been delayed, and there's actually no word on if it's still coming out in 2020. It was actually shooting for 2019, spring of 2019 for the longest time, and obviously it got pushed pretty far, right? So that's a game, another example. Popular game, we've heard its name. I think Cuphead is way more popular, but you could say Super Meat Boy has been on all these platforms, and that game was actually outstanding as well. well. That game has a very small team. Things take time. There can be problems. And when you have such a small team like that, a small thing really can hurt it and really can take a very long time to get through it. So I do think Cuphead 2 is happening. I don't see how you sell a game. Again, yes, it's only $20. It's not the most expensive thing in the world. But I don't see how you sell a game 6 million units. Probably going to, again, be a whole lot more, no matter what kind of terrible contract they may have had, which, again, I'm not even assuming they have that. But, like, say they had a terrible contract with, like, a publisher and they made, like, next to nothing. I mean, still, for a team this small to sell 6 million, probably will get, let's say, 7 to 8 at least because of the PS4. You don't sell 8 million units of a very small indie game with a studio under 20 people and not firstly make a ginormous, and I do mean this, ginormous profit, but also, thinking of the future. I mean, this is obviously not a franchise that you'd like to drop. I guess the only question would be, would you make a sequel or would you make a brand new game? Now, because of the art design, in fact, one of the brothers is like the head artist of this game, you would think maybe they would stay in this universe. Again, it's such a popular game that worked so well. I watched another video that covered a potential Cuphead 2, and they made this video a little while ago, and they talked about how, I guess there was a podcast back in 2018, 2019, where one of the brothers said that they're working on something, that was based off of one of the most popular games that came out in 2017, which was Cuphead. So you could say, all right, well, was that the DLC? Was that a different device? Because the Nintendo Switch maybe didn't come out yet. Obviously, PS4 didn't come out yet. So could they have been making Cuphead for PS4, and previously for Nintendo Switch? Were they doing that this whole time? Was the DLC taking up a lot of the time? You know what I mean? It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, Cuphead, look, one thing that actually you can look at as a positive is Cuphead, the visual design to it, it doesn't really get old. And what I mean by that is, like, if you were to make a sequel, yes, you would probably expect things to look a little bit better, but because of just that art design, it's not going to revolutionary change. You know what I mean? But again, that's actually a good thing because they don't need to reinvent the wheel. The art design and the kind of concept that they've come up with Cuphead, it works, obviously, right? And it holds up. It still holds up 3 years later. It still holds up on these different the game looks visually beautiful. I mean, just the art style really does stick out, and there will always be that kind of like an allure to that kind of art style. So I don't really think you have to reinvent the wheel there. And again, even the gameplay, like, yes, you'd have new mechanics, you'd have maybe new powers, you'd have obviously new enemy types, new bosses, new levels in general. But again, a lot of it is already kind of pre-built. So what I would say is, it's a small team. It definitely takes time. It took them a long time to get it out. It took them a long time to get the DLC out. It took them a long time to get it on all these consoles. But when we look at the future, it really honestly shouldn't take all that long to make future games. Now, am I a game designer? No, I don't specifically know these things, but again, you already have all of the framework. If they were to make a Cuphead 2, I don't see how it would be that enormously difficult. Would it be hard? Of course, making games is difficult, but they already have a big amount of the groundwork laid out. And besides that, yes, over the last 3 years, they've worked on the DLC, they've worked on getting it on other systems and other platforms, but for the most part, that shouldn't take up everybody's time every single day, full pay, full-time job, Monday through Friday, whatever you do. You know what I mean? It shouldn't have taken up that entire time, I would imagine. And again, I've been right with a lot of these speculation things before. I've been wrong. So you can take my opinion and you can do honestly whatever you want with it, right? But in my opinion, I feel like they've been making a second game. I think that probably in the background they've had the DLC, they've had to go on different systems and platforms, but most of the team, there's only so many people there, but I assume that they're also at the same time working on a brand new Cuphead. I think that makes sense. I think that, again, you have to keep adding to it. I think just even money-wise, I know you don't just make games for money, but at the same time, if you don't make money from game making, then you can't make games anymore. So this game sells, this franchise sells, and besides that, or beyond that, I mean, Cuphead's like a thing. It's like merchandise. It's around the world. You can buy all of just literally, there's so many different things Cuphead related. I mean, it started out as a game, but look at what it's become. You know what I mean? So that's not something you let go. You can get a Funko on it. You can get all this different merchandise on it. You don't just let Cuphead go. So I think a second game is absolutely, in my opinion, I would say it's guaranteed. Do I think it's coming out anytime soon? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, especially, obviously they have the deal with Microsoft and all that stuff. Could it be something like that where it's like in the first year of Xbox Series X, they announced that it maybe is coming to it? I think it's definitely possible. I think that would make sense for Microsoft. Do I want it to be exclusive? No, not necessarily, but if it's going to be and it comes out, at least it comes out. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't rule it out at all. I think it's probably very real, but I also think it could take a while. It could be very soon if they want to surprise us and again give us kind of, it's not a game changer. It's not like, oh my God, this gives it a one-up over the console wars, over Sony. This is going to sell Series X's. It may. It actually probably will, but it's not, it's not going to be this generational thing, but it is something they have in their arsenal they could do, you know what I mean, if they want to make that deal again. So we'll have to see, but I do think this game is in the works. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think Cuphead 2 exists? When do you think it would come out? Do you think it would be, again, kind of a Microsoft exclusive thing to start? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, make sure you guys subscribe to this YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go. And again, follow me on Twitter if you guys have not yet already, Podcast Now 15. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.